morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with One Angry Pagan. Hello, Pagan, and welcome to another Flake show, where we'll be covering news relating to the climate, the environment, everything and anything around our big blue and green, beautiful planet. Well, it's mixed colors, but as you guys know, this is something we specifically like to talk about once a month because it's something that the world does not talk enough about because it affects us all in one way, shape, or form. There, Pagan, how are you doing today?
I'm not feeling too bad. It's been warm but breezy down here in the southwest of England, so I've been feeling okay.
Yeah. Well, the weather here, it's gotten a bit grey a bit today. Like this morning, it was a bit of sunshine, but it's gotten much greyer here today. I just say hello to those who are lurking in the chat. Dave McGinnis, good to see you there, my friend. Hope you are doing well. Richard Grumpy, get there as well. Good to see you, buddy. Alistair Keir is also lurking in the chat there. Torchwood, good to see you there as well. Doc Davis, Billy Kershaw, good to see you guys. Kate Smith there, good to see you all. Hope you're all doing well. Apologies, I couldn't make the Two Davies show at 4 o'clock today. I just had way too much stuff going on, so I do apologize for missing the show. I'll try to catch up with it tonight if I can. So I might put it on in the background while I'm doing some work because I do have some still work to do tonight before. Because obviously, as you guys know, I am officially on holiday next week. So yes, yeah, I'm actually going to be away. So I'm not actually going to be next to my computer. So, Pagan, the first story, this is one that you wanted us to cover, really, with regarding the Sandeel fishing ban to remain in place. So, while I open it up, just tell us a little bit about the story.
Well, see, I first came across this video watching a TLDR news video about this fishing argument between the EU and the UK, because France and Denmark are kicking up a stink mostly, and I was like, the fishing rights stuff, and I don't really pay attention because fishing really isn't that important to our economy. But this is to do with the biodiversity crisis. And I actually, usually on my channel, people know me as pro-EU when it comes to EU versus UK arguments. On this one, I think I'm pro-UK.
So what was the challenge on the ban exactly? So
the UK, the sandy, you see these silverfish that the puffin there has got in its mouth, right?
Yep.
They are very common off of the northeast coast of Scotland and northeast coast of England, and overfishing. Well, we don't fish them so much in this country, but this species of fish is important for endangered bird species in this country.
Right.
The RSPB and other organisations fighting on put up scientific evidence, but from what I gather, France and Denmark are like, no, we want to fish there because they eat sandeel.
But so this is about So basically, these countries obviously want their fishers to be able to fish more waters, but the argument is that if you fish these waters, then the birds will lose the food that they need to survive. Basically,
yeah. I mean, we've from that family of avian dinosaur in particular, we have already lost what was actually the original penguin, the great hawk.
Yeah,
right. It's from this family of birds. We've already wiped that out. Do we need to be wiping the rest of this family out as well?
I don't know what the fishing
Europeans want sandeel.
Yeah, I don't know what in terms of fishing economy, how much of the fishing contributes, the level of contribution it does to France's and Denmark's economy specifically, in comparison to the UK. But I imagine it's probably not like super high either, probably. But I'm just estimating, like everyone there. Jao, good to see you there, and David as well. It's just popped up in the chat. So a challenge to Britain's bans onto commercial fishing for sand. Am I saying the bird's name right? Sandeels.
Yeah, sandeel.
Yeah, in the North Sea has been dismissed by an international court. So sandals are a vital source of food for making marine life, including seabirds that live along the UK coastline. The two bans for English and Scottish waters were put in place in early 2024 to prohibit trawlers from netting the tiny fish, following concerns that the sandal stocks were becoming too low. Do we actually have is there actually evidence that shows that on this that is showing that is
I was going to
becoming
give
low?
you the RSPB thing, but
Mm.
you don't like cookies, so.
Oh, okay. So based off that, then it's showing that the numbers are
Yeah.
decreasing.
It's not just it's not just the government the Brexit. See, this is where I was kind of conflicted originally, because I thought this was going to be Brexit, Britain having another argument with the EU, but no. On this, no, this is actually coming from UK scientists and conservationists going, no, you need to fucking stop. I mean, it's not just Sandeel that we've seen. I'll let you carry on in a second, but yeah. Like, it's not just Sandeel we're seeing. You know, the stockfish that these species depend on is disappearing around the globe. This is just a local to Britain issue. But like the sandeels make a really good example of this, where a primary food source for thousands of species, hundreds if not thousands of species, is becoming so low because humans are overfishing it. And we're going to lose. Like I said, we've already lost the largest member of that family of birds. Do we need to be killing off the rest of them by taking away all their food?
Yeah. So as long as the thing is, it's very important, obviously, in order to ensure that the fishing is not in these waters and the courts are on their side, obviously, is making sure that they continue to have the evidence that supports them in this. So as long as the evidence is there, it's really important that they have that saying, look, they need this. Like, I know you guys want to fish it, but they need it more than you do. You know, we're talking about an entire species here, and I know you guys want to boost your economy by a tiny little bit, but yeah, you can't do it here. You know, you're talking about killing off a possible species as a
not just one
decision of this.
We're talking multiple species that are at risk. I mean, the puffin is already at risk. These coastal birds, not just the bird species, but the avian dinosaurs in particular, they are already at risk.
The judges at the Permanent Court of Arbitration, that's PCA, based in The Hague, ruled that there is no legal obligation to reserve the closure order after the EU claimed that the move was discriminatory and disproportionate and could threaten the future of commercial sandal fishing in Denmark.
Sorry, that's so fucking what Denmark. Like, I'm usually all in when it comes to EU, but no, so fucking what Denmark. Move to something else. Adapt.
that is the word I was about to say, rather than just leaving them to rot. Well, you're just gonna have to try something else, you know. The Royal Society for the Protection of Birds, the RSPB, which manages the Benton Cliffs in East Yorkshire, was one of several conservation organisations that called for the measure to remain in place and give evidence in the court hearing. Can you do me a favour? Can you just carry on for me? I just need to deal with my cat. Sorry.
That's fine. So Becky Spate, the RSPB's chief executive, said, "We are absolutely delighted that the panel has found the ecological case for the closure of industrial sandeel fishing is sound." And it's so fucking right. It should be. Safeguarding sandeel stocks is a key part of the jigsaw that will help set our puffins, kittiwakes, and the wider marine environment on the path to recovery. The puffins and kittiwakes, like a lot of these birds are from the same branch of bird family, and we've already killed off one branch of that. The Department for the Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, DEFRA, welcomed the court's decision and said it had found the UK successfully demonstrated that the measures taken to close English and Scottish waters were based on the best available science.
Yeah, it's always as long as the science is the main key when it comes to these decision making and saying no. Look, this actually shows that not just one but other species are at threat as a result of the
Once
decisions.
the UK
Yeah.
isn't being like all political towards the EU, it's actually being scientific towards the EU. It's the EU that's being political back.
But if I was just play devil's advocate, the EU here are just trying to protect these communities, be it the French and Danish fishing communities. That would
Yeah.
be from their point of
But
view.
their communities don't matter more. Those communities don't matter any more than actually they matter less than our ecology, our environment, than wiping out species for our convenience. Again, puffin's already already endangered.
Sandeel's compromise a number of species of small fish that are caught commercially for use in animal feeds and in oil production. Danish fishing organisations have argued that the North Sea ban was unnecessary and claimed Sandeel stock was plentiful, disputing the scientific evidence. Well, here's the thing, like, this is my argument to them. If you have evidence that shows that there is plentiful, then bring it forward. And they're like, it's one thing to say, but there's plentiful, but it's another to actually like, what's your evidence to support this? Like, do you have any data that verifies what you're saying in comparison to the data that they have that says there isn't?
Court said no.
You can't just say, yeah, but there's loads. Well, can you prove it? Speaking before the court ruling, Esben Severdrup Jensen, I hope I said that right, from the Danish paralytic.
Oh, that'd be Jensen, I think. Esben Sverdrup Jensen.
Wow. Yeah, you said it a lot better than me. From the Danish Pedalic Producers Association.
Oh, pelagic. Sorry, that's the pelagic.
Pelagic, thank you. Said that the ban had a massive impact on the industry. And it means that we've lost about half of the fishing grounds that we have traditionally fished on for decades, he said.
They're falling into the fallacy of permanence. You're not going to always have these stocks for fucking eight. Like, people thought that, like, they saw the dodo as easy fucking hunting. And look what fucking happened to the dodo. Oh, it's ridiculously circular thinking.
Disputed the claim. Jensen disputed the claim that Sandeel stock were under threat. Again, what's your evidence to prove otherwise? It's probably the best managed fishery in the world. He added again, like you've got to provide evidence for it. So the ruling means that Sandeel fishing ban also remains in place in the Scottish areas of the North Sea and has been welcomed by the Scottish government, which has continuing concerns about the seabird population. Scotland's Rural Affairs Secretary,
is it Myri Gauguin?
I think so. We'll probably get told off by David Guinness in the chat. Protecting our marine ecosystem is vital to Scotland's environment and to the people and communities who rely on it. And the ruling reaffirms the appropriate of the actions that we took last year to do just that. The Permanent Court of Arbitration ruling, which runs to nearly 300 pages, also stated the ban in English waters had breached the post-Brexit trade deal because it was disproportionate. In a statement, the European Commission said it welcomed the ruling as it provided clarity on fishing rights. And he also said that the UK is required to immediately comply with the final ruling and shall inform the EU within 30 days of the compliance measures that it will take. A DEFRA spokesperson said it would bring the UK into compliance on this issue. But the ruling did not mean that the UK is legally obliged to reverse the closure of English waters. I think that context there is, at the end there is really, really important, just for reference there.
Again, this frustrates me because, like, I'm pro EU. Like, for most part, when it comes to EU versus UK arguments, I'm usually pro EU, but this isn't a Brexit. And again, you see in the end there, they're trying to make it a Brexit argument. The EU are actually trying to make this a Brexit argument. I
don't think it's the EU in particular. I think it's just that these two nations are joint. It's particularly the nations. I wouldn't so much point the finger at the European Union. For me, it's about both these nations who are under the EU banner.
The Commission's, as I said, the Commission says it provides clarity, but Denmark and France aren't going to have any of it.
Mm.
Like they're still going to continue. It's like the Rockall Island on the other side of Scotland, which is constantly being contested over. But like, no, I'm sorry, Denmark, you're wrong, and we have noted over the last 20, 25, 30 years the decline of puffins and kittiwakes in the northeast of England and Scotland. It's scientific data, and again, the Danes didn't bring sufficient evidence for the ban to be lifted.
Yeah, this is the thing that you've got to, if you're going to have a counter argument, you need to have evidence to support it, and you can't just go in there with no evidence and say, yeah, but they're wrong. And it's like, well, they've got scientists and evidence that disputes your claims. So it's like, how do you counter that? So
it's like fisheries versus fishing industry versus environment. I'm sorry, but environment wins out every single day of the fucking week.
Yeah, like for me, like I know, like you said, like fishing communities, fishing is not that big in economies in this part of the world. Excuse me, but obviously, I don't want to see anybody losing their jobs or any communities dying out. No, none of us want to do that. It's really, really important. We want to stress that, but we also need to make sure that we are protecting our species as much as we possibly can as well. So it is like there is a bit of give and take, unfortunately. But yeah, unfortunately, they have to find other means of keep on going. Thank you, Astakir, for the £5 super chat. Scottish government has already done that to a Herary fishing stems to be an explosion of all life in that area, as the Scottish government will back this. Thank you for sharing that. Much appreciated, Astakir, and for the £5 super chat. Really appreciate that. Yeah, thank you for those who are new here. It's all well and good. Appreciate you guys coming here. Jao also says France and Denmark can leverage their interest inside the EU. The UK is an exterior actor, and no EU country will side with them. No, I'm not implying in any way, shape, or form that the EU will side with the UK in any way, shape, or form. But I'm just saying my attack isn't directly at the European Union, but that at the end of the day, they're just representing what France and Denmark's position are on this particular issue. I think it's fair to say there. But let's move on this because we do have a couple of other topics to talk about here. And this one here from The Guardian. I am so slow today. There we go. Is it coming up? Screen sharing was cancelled. Excuse me. It's not working right now. Sorry, guys.
No.
Share. Are we sharing? There we go. I don't know why it wasn't coming up initially. So this one from The Guardian, guys, that European firms are ramping up lobbying for climate action, report finds. So the research shows that companies aligning with strategies to meet climate goals have risen from 3% in 2019 to 23% in 2025.
That's a jump. That's a jump.
These are pro. Are these pro lobbying or action groups?
If they're lobbying for climate action, then I'd say they're pro.
Yeah, because I'm thinking pretty sure. Yeah, well, it's European firms ramping up lobbying for climate action. So these are pro ones, obviously, from the title, which we need to, because
and solar that they got in the picture. That's cool.
That is a photograph is Sean Gollop, a Getty image. The report found more than half. It's just basically saying what is analysed at least partially aligned with EU climate policy. We'll get to that. It's not actually saying where the picture is from, actually, but this is I would say, if it's obviously what we think it is, I think it's a positive step, because especially when how much money that oil and gas companies have in making lots of think tanks, lots of anti-climate groups, and pouring money into politicians to make them turn their backs on green energy and green investment. Net zero, like the Conservatives have basically been bought by these oil and gas companies now, because they've completely turned their backs on it. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to buy buy their way into stopping stopping the inevitable change that needs to happen. This is the big issue here, is that they're trying to stop it. So it's good that European firms are standing up on this as well, because especially when there are other parts of the world, including America, where things are going in the opposite direction. So it's definitely,
if we can align, the Sandeel issue aside, if we can align with Europe on this, all the better.
Yeah, so let's have a read into this. So, and there's also a little bit of a graph here as well. So, European companies are increasingly lobbying for strong climate action. Researchers found in a profound shift, the analysis challenges the narrative that businesses see green rules as a threat to profits. The share of companies whose corporate lobbying is aligned with pathways to meet global climate goals rose from 3% in 2019 to 23% in 2025. So, according to an analysis of 200, no, it's all right, of the largest European companies by influence map, while the share of the companies who were deemed misaligned fell from 34% to 14%. So the report found that more than half of the companies were at least partially aligned with pathways to stop the planet from heating 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels by the end of the century. Those are vocally organizing to oppose the energy transition achieve outsized importance across public debate, said Venetia Roxburgh. Yeah, this is where my dyslexia is coming in. An analysis that influenced MAP, a non-profit that tracks corporate lobbying. However, this research demonstrates that there is a larger, quieter majority that are supportive of decarbonisation and are driving progress through climate policy. So this little graphic here is from the source influence map of corporate lobbying on EU climate policy that has moved closer to science. European countries lobbying in line with climate science as a percentage here. So obviously you've got 2019 and then 2025 there. So you've got aligned, partially aligned, mixed alignment, and then misalignment there. So from 2019
the aligned as well.
Yeah, so it is actually interesting. You can see quite a change in the last 4 years there, especially the misaligned, going there from 34% to 14%, and then many people jumping on board from 3% to 23%. But there's still quite a mixed alignment of numbers there, and partially aligned as well there, according to their.
I mean, it needs to get bigger. Like those numbers need to get bigger on the aligned side, but that's still a fucking hell of a jump.
It is. It's a step in the right. I'd like to say, like, it's good, it's great, and it's something. It's a win. It's a win that we should be taking. But of course, as always, it's about what can we do to increase that number. The next steps on it. So the researchers track business engagement on climate policy through channels ranging from corporate disclosures to EU consultation documents to social media posts. They gave more weight to statements from managers and formal consultations on specific policies and placed more importance on recent piece of evidence. And they also found that an increasingly substantial portion of the corporate sector was engaged in positive climate advocacy. It took me a while to get my words out.
I like this shift.
In 2019, when the European Commission announced its Green Deal, only 1 in 4 companies were lobbying partly in line with the Paris Agreement's goals of keeping the planet from heating 1.5 degrees Celsius, the report found. And by 2025, that share had doubled. So the researchers found industry associations were lagging behind individual companies. The share of aligned or partly aligned associations rose from 2% in 2019 to 12% in 2025, far below the share of similarity-supportive companies. And the disparities could arise from industry associations prioritizing the views of the loudest opponents of a climate policy, though it could also be the result of companies challenging unsavory lobbying requests through trade group. It says, I also said industry associations in the EU appear to be fighting a losing battle against the tide of positive corporate action on climate policy, said. And they need to urgently reassess their priorities if they are to continue to act as a true representative of the majority of their membership. The worst scoring companies in the ranking, weighed by their level of engagement on policy, were the Polish utility PGE, the Austrian oil and gas producer OMV, the Spanish oil and gas producer Repsol, the Spanish transmission system operator Engas, and and the German airline
Lufthansa.
Yeah. So what a surprise that some of these companies are, oil and gas or oil producers or and what a surprise. And a German airliner as well. It's like, yeah, does this really surprise you for the kind of companies that are here? I don't think it surprises any of us, to be fair. So Engas, which influence map cited as, I know I'm not going to get it right, cited as supporting the long-term role of fossil gas in energy and transports and advocating to weakening measures for methane emission leaks, detections and repairs. And it said its climate policy is committed to reaching net zero emissions by 2040, not including the emissions from customers using its products, and by 2050 overall. It added that it had embraced the EU's methane regulation, for which it received the highest rating from the International Methane Emissions Observatory. I can't say that word again.
Lufthansa.
Thank you. Which influence map cited as lobbying against EU mandates for sustainable aviation fuels and the full inclusion of aviation in the EU emissions trading system. Said it did not oppose either policy, but was calling for competition neutral implementation. Okay, what does that mean?
Competition neutral implementation. So it's all about fucking capitalism. It's not the free market,
guys. That's probably it. And Zhao's trying to help me spell out some of the words. PGE, OMV, and Repsol did not respond to a request for comment. What a surprise. The European Commission has put competitiveness at the heart of its agenda since its new mandate began in December, in a partial reversal of its Green Deal after elections in 2024, and saw sizable gains for the far right and losses for the Greens. Environmental groups have criticised the new focus on simplification as a cover for deregulation that will allow companies to pollute more. Yeah, I do think this is something that they're looking for. What a lot of these companies, and especially these oil and gas companies, are trying to do more than anything is when they want to argue the climate skeptics, they want to tie it to obviously cost of living. So they try to basically, when your bills are consistently going up and up, if they can find a way to spin it in such a way that it's because of the green transition, that's what they'll try to do, even though it actually is supposed to make bills cheaper. And there are cases and examples where they are right now in the UK. It's not really happening right now, or specifically here in England. But that is one of many actions that they're trying to take in order to basically stop us heading in that direction there.
England at the moment is having problems in part because there's an argument going on, and I know it is, of whether or not to decouple from the international gas and oil market. Yes, but we can't do that straight away because that would be too much of a shock to the economy and the system of the country. It would just be too much of a shock. So, yeah, we're still, the fact that we're moving in the correct direction. I mean, I'm already seeing more adverts coming up for solar panels. The government-run program for solar panels.
Yeah,
I'm seeing that not just coming up on YouTube, but like my mum's TV in the front room where she watches BBC iPlayer and other stuff, and Amazon Prime. We're seeing that these adverts pop up, and I've seen a couple more houses in the neighborhood have solar panels on their roofs. So we're starting to make a move, but it's like the Tories held us back. Like they started us going.
They did start us, yeah, but
But
they were much
like,
slower.
they were like, yes, let's do this, and then slow it down.
Yeah. A lot of it was just like front for the PR teams to say, yeah, we're doing this, but not really enough of it. And I'd also say about like especially companies that aren't kind of getting lobbied by oil and gases or aren't getting lobbied in any way to basically go against the climate policy. It's all about, I've mentioned the word incentive. It's all about incentivizing businesses, incentivizing small and medium businesses. And, if you give them a little something to say, hey, if you actually like use solar panels or use use other means of different green energy efficiencies, to drive costs down for your business, maybe the government may give you some money. I mean, it's just as an example. Because one thing just let me finish on this point. So because this is the one thing that will push companies towards them, because one thing that every business wants is more money. And if you can incentivize and convince them, especially ones that are sitting on the fence when it comes to environment, if you can convince them that, hey, we'll give you a certain amount of cash if you go towards a certain direction, which is towards net zero, more green energy, more recycling and whatnot, then the government will reward you for going that way. And at the same time, the business will actually be better off in doing so as well.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, for those of us who want the UK to rejoin the EU, alignment is, we need to align closely to the EU again, and the more friendly our closest market is to the green economy, considering that we're still heading towards, on this green transition on these islands.
Yeah.
It's not just defense that we want to be aligning on them with. We want to be aligning on them with this stuff as well.
Yeah. Jao says almost 20 years ago, the United Kingdom was one of the only countries. Well, it's four nations in the EU not to begin the mandatory installation of solar panels in new houses. And now, for some, 10 years ago, we are doing it to older buildings too. Jao says there. Yeah, we are behind. We are behind. We are behind in comparison to other European countries, and we need to get on with it because we know that some of the other political parties want to roll it back. They want to slow us down, and they want to keep us paying more for our bills. It's really important that the Labour government really does push on this a lot.
I'm already seeing more solar panels on roofs already in my backwater. It's a start. I mean, the trend was already there, but there were very few. And in the last 3 to 4 months, I've seen more and more houses in the area have solar panels on their roofs.
It's good signs. I think they also said that houses have to originally it wasn't mandatory for solar panels, but it looks like they are mandatory. Yeah. So originally I thought it wasn't, and maybe they changed it. Maybe.
Tony Blair. Yeah, it's because of Tony Blair's stupid intervention. Fucking moron.
Well, I just think he's a war criminal that should just be quiet because he's gotten away with lots of things. And another person who's getting away with things is the Trump administration. We've got 2 back-to-back stories relating to things in America, unfortunately, guys, because whether we like it or not, America is rolling back on a lot of things. And this is another one here. The EPA has announced rollback for some Biden-era limits on forever chemicals in drinking water.
Do you want me to read this one? Because there's, if I remember rightly, there's quite a few words in this.
I mean, I just feel like that we already know that they're anti-climate skeptics and all that because they're being paid money by it anyway. But I am so generally concerned about Americans there, where their drinking water is vulnerable more than ever, becoming more vulnerable. As a direct result, I mean, if you're in a democratic states, you'll still have much better protections because you'll have states that will actually do care about the environment. But if you're in a Republican area, especially the deep red ones, you really have to be careful of what you're drinking.
Considering America's having water, it's heading towards a state where eventually they're going to have water wars in the Midwest because because of their unsustainable farming practices. They're drying up the fucking rivers.
Yeah.
The vast river systems of the US are drying up faster than they have been for a long time.
Oh, that's good to hear, Richard. He's just said his local Sainsbury's had a massive installation done. Roof is totally covered. That's
nice.
Great. That's really good to hear. The US has become a cesspool, says Jal. Yep, unfortunately it has.
Right. So the Environmental Protection Agency said on Wednesday that it plans to weaken limits on some forever chemicals in drinking water that were finalized last year, while maintaining standards for two common ones. The Biden administration has set the first federal drinking water limits for PFAs, or perfluoroalkyl and polyfluoroalkyl substances, finding that they increased the risk of cardiovascular disease, certain cancers, and babies being born with low birth rate. Those limits on PFAs, which are human-made and don't usually break down in nature, were expected to reduce their levels for millions of people. The limits on 3 types of PFAs, including what are known as Gen X substances found in North Carolina, will be scrapped and reconsidered by the agency, as well as will a limit on mixture of several types of PFAs. The Biden administration's rule also sets standards for the 2 common types of PFAs, referred to as PFOA and PFOS, at 4 parts per trillion, effectively the lowest level at which they can reliably be detected. The EPA will keep those standards, but give utilities 2 extra years until 2031 to comply. So it's weakening this.
Yeah, and it's just like this is the thing. Like I would say to them, what is the benefit of this? Why are we doing this? Why are we rolling back on these things? Like, what's the reason?
It's the Trump style thing is cost cutting, for profits.
Yeah. We need to cut regulation. This is regulation. This is what they're saying. This is apparently is regulation, isn't it?
Fucking ridiculous. So we are on a path to uphold the agency's nationwide standards to protect Americans from PFOA and PFOS in their water. At the same time, we will work to provide common sense flexibility in the form of additional time for compliance. Said EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin. I need to do an aside here. Lee Zeldin is a prick. Aside done. The development was first reported by the Washington Post. It appears few utilities will be impacted by the withdrawal of limits for certain newer types of PFAS. So far, sampling has found nearly 12% of US water utilities are above the Biden administration's limits. But most utilities face problems with PFOA or PFOS. Health advocates praised Biden's administration for the limits, so at least they could praise him for something. But water utilities complained, saying treatment systems are expensive. See, what did I fucking say? Fucking price. And that customers will end up paying more. The utilities sued the EPA. It's all about cost cutting. Fucking cost cutting.
This here, it always comes down to money here, above anything else. Like, who cares if Americans get sick? Who cares if they catch something? Who cares if babies are born with a bit of a deform or whatever? Like that, to them, it's like it doesn't matter. Like, we want to be able to make more money. That's the priority for them. It's all about the money.
I want my money. Fucking Americans.
It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
The EPA's actions align with some arguments in the utilities lawsuit. They argued the EPA lacked authority to regulate a mixture of PFAS and said the agency didn't properly support limits on several newer types of PFAS that the EPA now plans to rescind. They also sought the 2-year extension. Eric Olson, a senior strategist at the non-profit Natural Resources Defense Council, said the move is illegal. The Safe Water Drinking Act gives the EPA authority to limit water contaminants, and it includes a provision meant to prevent new rules from being looser than the previous ones. With a stroke of the pen, the EPA is making a mockery of the Trump administration's promise to deliver clean water for Americans, Olson said. Lee Zeldin is a fucking prick.
Well, it's just like, what did you expect? I mean, Trump will say one thing, but his actions will speak another on this. Richard says it sounds like the situation over here with water profits before utility. Well, here's the thing. Like, I mean, it's good that the Labour government are being more tougher on our water companies here in England, and I welcome that. But it still doesn't. It's nowhere near enough. It's nowhere near enough. I mean, it really infuriates me, and I'm sure it infuriates Pagan and everybody who lives in England, where our water bills have gone up, and yet even like that, which they shouldn't in any way gone up. They should have at least been frozen, because they have poured so much sewage into our environment, and yet we're expected to pay for them to be able to. We're expected to pay them still. We have to pay them more money to help them fix the mess that they cleaned up. So, yeah, I just.
The party's being pushed. The Labour's being already pushed, not just by activists and whatnot, but by backbenchers in the Labour Party. I know I've left, but there are still good members in the Labour Party pushing for Starmer to go further.
Yeah.
So President Donald Trump has sought fewer environmental rules and more gas and oil development.
Yeah, because that will fix everything, doesn't it? Yeah, more drilling, that will definitely fix it.
EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin has carried out that agenda by announcing massive regulatory rollbacks. The EPA plans to loosen regulations for greenhouse gas emissions, clean up standards for coal plant waste, and car emission limits, among many other clean air and water rules. Now, when it comes to coal, America is really fucking bad. I mean, Pennsylvania alone, you might have heard of Centralia, right?
Yes.
A place where that's not even the biggest coal fire in the state of Pennsylvania. There are at least 40 other coal fires just like that going on in Pennsylvania. Underground, it just fills me with red hot fury. This does. Zeldin's history with PFAS is more nuanced. During his time as a New York congressman, he supported legislation to regulate forever chemicals. Yeah, but everyone to do with Trump's fucking administration is a fucking hypocrite.
Yeah.
And look at Vance. He called him. Vance said he was said that Trump was a Nazi, and now look at him. Manufactured by companies like Chemours and 3M, PFAs were incredibly useful in many applications, among them helping clothes to withstand rain and ensuring that firefighting foam snuffed out flames. But the chemicals also accumulate in the body. As science advanced in recent years, evidence of harm at far lower levels became clearer. The Biden-era EPA estimated the rule will cost about $1.5 billion to implement each year. Water utility associations say the costs, combined with the recent mandates to replace lead pipes, will raise residents' bills and fall hardest on small communities with few resources. The Biden administration did work to address cost concerns. The bipartisan infrastructure law provided for $9 billion for chemicals like PFAS. Utilities have won multi-billion-dollar settlements against PFAS polluters. This is fucking ridiculous. I mean, $1.5 billion. What's that to the American economy? For fuck's sake.
Yeah. Yeah, £9 billion they got from the bipartisan infrastructure law for chemicals as well.
Utilities see partial relief. Activists see a backslide. Exactly. Some utilities have been surprised to find out that they are over limits. And really? And small water providers might struggle with compliance costs and expertise. Then the government has to help them out. This is water. This is a natural monopoly. This is government run by toddlers, right-wing toddlers. This water gives water pros more time to deal with the ones we know are bad, and we are going to make more time. We're going to need more time. Some utilities are just finding out now where they stand, said Mike McGill, president of Water PIO, a water industry communications firm. Some utilities wanted a higher limit on PFOA and PFOS, according to Mark White, drinking water leader at the engineering firm CDM Smith. He suspects the utility industry will continue to sue over those limits. Environmental groups will likely file challenges too. Melanie Benesh, Vice President of Government Affairs at the non-profit Environmental Working Group, said utilities may not have to install treatment that's as broadly effective if they just have to focus on two types of older PFAS. Like this point here, they said it was said earlier, right, that they're wanting to go for new ones and they only want to regulate these older ones. He's a fucking con.
Well, they just want to do the most minimum amount of regulation as they can.
It's cost cut.
Yeah, the most minimum amount of regulation as they can without having to invest more in doing so.
Really reduce what utilities have to do to make sure that the other newer generation PFAs are captured, she said. When the Biden administration announced its rule, the head of the EPA traveled to North Carolina and was introduced by activist Emily Donovan, who said she was grateful for the first federal standards. She had long campaigned for tougher rules for Gen X substances that contaminated a local river. Now the EPA says it will roll back those Gen X limits. This current administration promised voters it would make America healthy again. But rescinding part of the PFAS drinking water standards does no such thing.
No, because it's all talk at the end of the day. It's all talk. It just also says the Associated Press received support from the Walton Family Foundation for all coverage of water and environmental policy. The AP is solely responsible for all content and all of AP's environmental coverage. And there's a link there. I will provide links for all these articles that we covered today in the description after the live stream. I won't be able to do it now at the moment, guys. But this is, we always seem to, every time we do a show, we're always covering something from America where they've rolled back on something or they're planning to, the costs are going to, like, it's not going to, like, is what they're doing going to reduce people's bills? Because that's the argument they're saying is that by reducing this all, we're actually going to reduce bills. But what good is reducing the bills if you're actually going to be unhealthy? If it gets to a point where the water is not healthy for you.
This is where the con is. Like they tell you, we're going to make you cheaper bills all the while, making it so your actual day-to-day life is fucking worse. So you have to pay more out for that anyway. It's fucking capitalist con.
That is true, Joe. Children do understand common sense. Some children, some of the troublemakers. Trump and his crew do not even understand that. There's a lot of things they don't understand, that's for sure. They approach worker safety the same way, says Vicky. Well, I mean, look at what they've been doing to the aviation industry. I mean, that literally speaks for itself, what's happened there. Yeah. It's been absolutely disastrous there. Billy Kershaw said, water companies should be put into administration over here and the shareholders take on the debt. Yep, absolutely, Billy. It makes sense. They should be taking ownership responsibility for it.
I gather that would shock the market and kind of do a Liz Truss thing. This is what I've been told. This isn't what I know. This is what I've been told. So take it how you will. But that kind of thing can apparently affect the economy. So
I would say to the share markets, oh, you guys will be fine. You'll get over it. That's what I honestly would have said to them if they did that. Democrats fought for regulation all my life, says Vicky. Somebody equally this equated this timeline to being tied to a chair while a toddler in the room plays with a gun.
Yes.
I don't like that analogy, but it is a logical analogy as well. So, like I said, more on stop screen. Thank you. As I said, we've got more on Donald Trump here, unfortunately, guys. Yeah. Is he going to make things? Yeah, his administration wants to make things worse. Ending extreme weather database that has tracked the cost of disasters since the 1980s. So, the United States of America, of course, has its fair share of natural disasters. Of course, tornadoes, tsunamis, earthquakes. They do happen in different parts of whether it's Orlando, Florida, or certain states that have tornado seasons as well. It's actually really important to have this data so they can better understand the weather patterns and be able to respond effectively and efficiently with it. Because when these events occur and they cause damage, never mind the loss of life, but when they cause damage, it costs money to fix those issues as well. And by not having that. And by not having this data and not being able to read the reports and see like what has been done because one thing you always want to make sure that you're doing is that when extreme weather events happen and there has been loss of life, there has been damage to property, it's always about asking yourself, what did we learn from this? What do we do? What do we make sure that what can we do to avoid not just protection to avoid losses of life, but what are we doing to protect homes, businesses, and whatnot, to ensure that there is also from saving a cost-cutting point of view as well. It's not just about the lives that have been lost, but also from a cost-cutting point of view. What can we do to save lives? I mean, we talk about like flooding, for example, in many parts of the world, where the higher the homes are built, like the steeper the level up, the higher the homes are, the less likely they are to get flooded, for example. Like that in itself is much better than a house getting flooded, because then that house needs to be rebuilt. So, I mean, obviously, it's every extreme weather is different, but the database is there to provide analysis that they can be able to better determine on how to respond to these events. But they want to end that. So again, why would they want to end that? Well, it's the same thing again, cost cutting apparently. So,
well, it's not just cost cutting; it's the anti-woke agenda as well. Remember.
Yeah, apparently. So I didn't know tornadoes were woke. That's the first for me. I didn't know they were woke. But there you go, guys.
If there's two tornadoes in the same place, that's extra woke.
Okay. That could cause quite a lot of anger amongst the right wing if that was the case here. Vicky said we had 3 noticeable earthquakes here in the last year, and I can see the nuclear power plant from my home.
Fuck. Is that? I want to ask. Is that in California?
Whereabouts are you, Vicky? Just for context there, if you don't mind sharing, we appreciate that. Anne Phillips says, extraordinary point of view that if you don't hear about it, it isn't happening, right? Pretty much, yeah. But the thing is that it's. I'm sure they will keep obviously the national alerts and whatnot on board. Like, I don't see how they can justify taking them away. But it's about the data and learning and understanding from that data and how to better respond to it. It really is. Vicky's from Ohio, just for reference there.
Ohio, yeah. I mean,
thanks for that.
It just, to me, the deletion of this data is just as bad as the book burnings, and what Pol Pot did in Cambodia all those years ago. It just.
Yeah, it's insane. The you can read the next one. I'll do this one. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration announced on Thursday its well-known $1 billion weather and climate disaster database will be retired. A move will make it next to impossible for the public to track the cost of extreme weather and climate events. Oh yeah, how is this cost cutting exactly? Answers on a postcard, please, chat. The Weather, Climate and Oceans Agency is also ending other products. it has recently announced, due in large part to staffing reductions. NRAA is narrowing the array of service it provides, with climate-related programs scrutinized especially closely. The disasters database, which will be archived but no longer updated beyond 2024, has allowed taxpayers, medias, and researchers to track the costs of natural disasters, spanning extreme events from from hurricanes to hailstorms since the 1980s. And this is the other thing as well. By doing this, it makes it harder for like certain media outlets who are not biased and are just trying to be as clear and evident about extreme weathers as possible. It makes them harder to make their case of saying, well, we've had this event here, we've had this event here, we've had this event here. That'll be harder for them to make that case, when they talk about it on the media, because guess what? They don't want you hearing about the newest cases that go forward. But I think there will be organizations out there that will still keep on top of this database.
Don't forget, there's that agency we were talking about before who's going over and just militantly going through all the stuff that the Trump administration is trying to delete and trying to save it on a separate database.
Yeah. Its discontinuation is another Trump administration blow to the public view into how fossil fuel pollution is changing the world around them and making extreme weather more costly. So the Trump administration has been laser focused on killing programs and departments that are associated with climate, whether they are actually tracking global warming and its effects or not. Some politicians and outside experts have asserted in the past that the database, which shows an increase in disaster losses over time, reflects mainly climate change-driven trends. Though NOAA says on their website that this product has no focus on climate event
attribution. And no, it doesn't. But that's not like it still proves that climate change related losses are getting worse and are going to get even worse.
Yeah.
Like the argument made here is a bit like wishy-washy. I'm a bit iffy with that argument made there.
Yeah. Population growth and the expansion of development in harm's way are thought to be the dominant factors behind the long-term trend. However, the increasing occurrence and severity of some types of extreme weather events, due in part to human-caused climate change, is also amplifying some of these events and making them more costly. Studies have shown the database of vacuums loss information is throughout the insurance industry, among other public and private sources.
Like, insurance companies across America are going to suffer for this shit.
Mm-hmm. According to the database, there were 403 weather and climate disasters, totaling at least $1 billion in the United States since the 1980s, totaling more than $2.945 trillion. As of April the 8th, there has not been any confirmed billion-dollar disaster so far in 2025, but the list for events as having the potential to make the tally, including the Los Angeles area wildfire in January.
Yeah, we're still in May. We're still in the first half of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, all those homes. It's still, what a tragedy.
And it's like, do you know all the arguments for last time Trump was in power, right? And we had the wildfires back then as well.
Yeah.
Do you know one of the things that Trump said on the fucking news? Oh, the park rangers need to be doing the forestry better. And I'm like, so what's the use in cutting the staff then, you fucking orange moron?
Mm-hmm. Between the 1980s and 2024, there were 9 such disasters on average each year through the past 5 years. That annual average has jumped to 24. The record for 1 year was 28 events in 2023. 28 events. 28 guys. And yeah.
On average. I mean, some years you might get a drop, but the trend on average is going to keep going up.
So they went on average 9 disasters for the past 5 years, and then they've jumped to 24.
And the record for 1 year is 28. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. The $1 billion disaster database is not easily replicable. replicable, such as by a non-profit or private company, since it contained myriad non-public data shared with the government by private industry. And in addition, companies, including insurers, have their own tallies and methodology. Losing
You
my
had
way
that right
there.
the first time. Methodologies.
Methodologies. Oh, I did get it right first time. You know, I've like I said, guys, this is why I really should take up Greek language, shouldn't I, to try and learn? Because you know they have long words. Apologies. They are typically closing guard. And what makes the resource uniquely valuable is not just the standardized methodology across decades, but the fact that it draws from proprietary and non-public data sources such as reinsurance, loss estimates, localized government reports, and private claims databases that are otherwise inaccessible to most researchers. Jeremy Porter, head of climate implementation and co-founder of First Street, a climate risk financial modeling firm, told CNN via email. Porter said First Street works closely with the database. Without it, replicating or extending damage trends analysis, especially at regional scale or across hazardous types, is nearly impossible without significant funding or industrial access to commercial catastrophic models, he told CNN. Other data has shown increase in natural disaster losses. And for example, reinsurance company Swiss Re report on the 29th of April that global insurance losses in 2025 are on course to reach £145 billion, with a 5% to 7% annual growth rate. Yeah, so it's going to cost more over time. And the Trump administration's plan is to stick their heads in the wall, in the sand, and hopefully no one will know.
To make it even more expensive than it ordinarily would have been.
Mm-hmm. The disasters database is the latest casualty from firings, early retirement, and incentive programs aimed at filling the agency's workforce, along with the rest of the federal government. The National Weather Service has been hit particularly hard by staff reductions and has been cutting some of its services as a result.
Remember, MTG told us, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she told us that the Dems were creating the hurricanes and stuff, remember?
Oh, what was that from the power of their farts, was it?
Yeah, apparently. I don't know. It was just fucking, they were saying, oh, they've got weather control machines.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she says a lot of things, doesn't she? If there's a foreign reporter asking her questions, she goes crazy. She does. It's like, why are you talking to me? Go back to your country. And it's just like, what have you got against foreign reporters? Just
this is coming from the woman who is obsessed with Hunter Biden's massive cock.
She's so crazy. The White House has published plans to make even deeper cuts to NOAA by eliminating its research division and closing its weather and climate labs, which would greatly reduce the data the agency collect and make available to the public. Yeah, because they don't want the public now having this information.
You know what I said before? I might have said it last.
Hold on, let me just finish this last bit. The administration's budget proposal for the fiscal year 2026 would cut NOAA's spending by 24% compared to 2025. Sorry, go on.
I think I said it. I know I said it on my channel. I'm not sure if I said it last time on here, but one of the aims for this movement, and it's not just in the US, it's worldwide as well, in different places, is for the first time in human history, we have, the normal people, we have access to more knowledge and information than we've ever had, because throughout human history, the access to knowledge was the purview of the wealthy. This is the wealthy trying to take that back. This is one example of the wealthy trying to take back their power, because knowledge is power.
Yep.
And access to that knowledge is more power. And they've been losing that power for the last 80 to 100 years. And now they want to take it back. This, to me, is one of those methods.
Yeah, you're right, Kate Smith. Yeah, she was telling Emily Mateus to F off. Yeah. Remember that. Yeah, we remember that. Yeah. Telling her about space lasers. Yeah. Emily, she was a pro. She was a pro, just keeping it cool, keeping it calm, as a professional should be.
The best British media. She's the best best British media.
Just keeping our feet on the ground, which is what you need to do with these children, because that's what they are. They are children. But yeah, it's
the damage. I mean, the damage was already going to continue to happen. Yeah, the climate change. No matter if we completely switched direction in the UK and US and wherever, and went fully on board with the green transition and whatever, right? We still wouldn't be able to clean everything up immediately. And now, this is going to make things even more expensive and far worse than they ordinarily would have been. I have started to badger the point here, but the extent to which this is going to cause damage, not just to environment, but to the American economy. I mean, Trump's already doing damage to the American economy. This is going to do more damage to the American economy, and I'm talking about the local economy as well. You know, for towns and villages in America.
It's always harder, guys, when it's easy to break things. It's hard to build them back up again. And people have to remember that when we talk about what we've been through for the last 14 years with the Conservative government, and not forgetting the 5 years of the Lib Dems in bed with them as well. People mustn't forget that as well. The next one is not one from America, but it is from South America, guys, which is a grave cause for concern here. This story is from Reuters of a huge ice fall at Argentina's Perito Moreno glacier. This is somewhere I would love to visit sometime because I've seen pictures and videos. It's absolutely beautiful, but seeing the ice falls are very concerning indeed. And an example of this will contribute to the rise in sea levels, because obviously when ice breaks or ice melts, it's much harder for it to form when the temperature, especially the water, the ocean, continues to get warmer for them. So it gets harder.
The more it melts, the faster it melts, the more it melts, and the more it melts, the faster it melts. Feedback loop.
Mm-hmm. The feedback loop, indeed.
What we got here? So Perito Moreno glacier. Argentina.
I should start from there. Deep cracking.
Yeah, the deep cracking sound bursting from within the ice signals the dramatic fall about to happen. Seconds later, a block of ice, some 70 meters or 230 feet tall, the size of a 20-story building, collapses from the face of the Perito Moreno glacier into the aquamarine water below. The site has attracted visitors to Argentina's most famous glacier for years. Standing on platforms facing the ice, they wait for the next crack to split the cool Patagonian air. I would be watching that in awe, but I'd be watching it going, we are watching the end of to what I'm considering, or the ending of this part of the ice age that we've been in for several tens of thousands of years. But recently, the size of the ice chunks is breaking off. The size of the ice chunks breaking off a process called calving has been starting to alarm local guides and glaciologists, already anxious at a prolonged retreat by Perito Moreno, which had bucked to the trend in recent decades by maintaining its mass as even warmer climates spurred faster glacial melting worldwide. Ice calving events of this size haven't been very common in Perito Moreno glacier over the past 20 years, said Pablo Quinteros, an official tourist guide in Los Glaciares National Park in the southern province of Santa Cruz. It's only in the last 4 to 6 years that we've started to see icebergs this big, he told Reuters during a visit in April.
Well, that tells you everything. Like, it's only the last 4 to 6 years, and this is from people. This is the regulars who are there, those who see it all. It's always those who are the locals who see this, and when they're saying that that something's happened, that something's not right over the past couple of years, you should be saying, "Oh, we should be concerned by this." But
It's
But we
scary. Again, for me to watch it would just be, it would again awe-inspiring, yes.
Yeah.
But you're seeing the world that we've known through this carving, the increased carving of these glaciers. We're seeing the erosion of the world that life has known for the last 10 million years at least.
Yeah.
So the face of the glacier, which flows down from the Andean peaks to end in the waters of Lake Argentina, had for decades held more or less steady, some years advancing and others retreating. But in the last 5 years, there's been a firmer retreat. It had been in more or less the same position for the last 80 years, and that's unusual, said Argentine glaciologist Lucas Ruiz, with state science body CONICET, whose research focus is the future of Patagonian glaciers in the face of climate change. However, since 2020, signs of retreat have begun to be seen in some parts of the Perito Moreno glacier's face. He said that the glacier could rebound as it has done before, but that for the moment it was losing between 1 to 2 meters of water equivalent per year, which, if not reversed, could lead to a situation where the loss accelerates. Again, it starts feeding a feedback loop.
Yeah, so it basically end up becoming it grows a bit more and more, basically.
Did we not speak last time or the time before about Antarctica, where the rate of ice building up is no longer happening? Like every year, there was
bigger chunks of ice are now flowing more. There's bigger chunks of ice as well, really flowing as well.
So where the ice cap used to grow like that every year, now it's doing that.
Yeah, it's less
the trend is reversed. So yeah, a state-backed 2024 report co-authored by Ruiz and presented to Argentina's Congress showed that while Perito Moreno's mass has been overall stable for over half a century, the period since 2015 has seen the fastest and most prolonged loss of mass in 47 years, on average losing 0.85 meters per year. Glaciers around the globe are disappearing faster than ever, with the last 3-year period seeing the largest glacial mass loss on record, according to UNESCO report in March. Ruiz said the instruments his research team used to monitor the glacier had shown an increase in air temperature in the area around 0.06 degrees Celsius per decade and precipitation decreasing, meaning that less accumulation of snow and ice.
Yeah.
Thing with Perito Moreno is, sorry, I keep saying Moreno as if it's got a little squiggly. No, it's Moreno. Is that it took a while, so to speak, to feel the effects of climate change. Ruiz said. Now, however, the accumulation of ice at the top of the glacier was being outpaced by the melting and calving at the bottom.
There's just that bit there as well.
The changes we are seeing today clearly show that the balance of forces has been disrupted, and today the glacier is losing both in thickness and in area. For now, the glacier remains an awe-inspiring attraction for travelers who board boats to see the carving and the huge icebergs floating around the lake up so close. It's insane, the most incredible thing I've ever seen, said a Brazilian tourist, Giovanna Machado, on the deck of one of the boats, which have to be careful of sudden icefalls. I can imagine. Even in photos, you just can't grasp the immensity of it, and it's perfect. It's amazing. I think everyone should come here at least once in their lifetime. I would
love to come there once in a lifetime, but it's quite a long way and it's very expensive. And Brits aren't exactly the. I mean, considering the issue over the Falklands, I mean, I don't know how Argentinians feel about British tourists going there, but that's probably the only reason why I'm a bit more hesitant to go and see it. But I
want to go to Argentina. The fossil finds in Argentina are insane. But again, I'm English.
Yeah. So
yeah, no, like,
look at these.
He's. I mean, I think it was a David Attenborough documentary where he showed a picture of what Antarctica looked like 50, 60 years ago, and then what it looked like at 5 years ago when the documentary came out, and the whole mass of ice that could be seen in 1950 or 1960 can no longer be seen now. It's gone.
Yeah, this is such a beautiful form. The way that ice is formed here is like, to me, like this is beautiful. Like the formation of it is the way it's done. But yeah, I think we've added the same we've reiterated the same context as we had before with regards to these situations, was of course is this is why we all need to take more action to do so. But it's not just about what we do on the ground, but what we do in the sea as well, because it's the ocean that is warming up, and we need to find ways to counteract that issue. Is there?
And as I mentioned in the last stream, the extinction events that have happened in our planet's history, the largest ones nearly always happen underwater in the seas and the oceans.
Kate asks, do you think that there is a concentrated effort by the oligarchs to reduce the world population so they can survive the wreckage? I
think I've heard that there are some people in the who are wealthy who have grouped together and have this kind of thinking. Who was it? I mean, technically, eugenics is a bit like is along that line of things as well. And there are still plenty of wealthy people who are essentially eugenicists.
Yeah, I think a lot. There are also some out there who honestly just don't give a damn about the climate, and it's just a case of, for them, it's just about maximizing profit. And like to some of them, it's like, well, I'm not going to be here when it gets worse. It's not my problem. Which is
They take the message of, we only live once, the wrong way.
Yeah. Billy Kershaw asks, how long does isostatic rebound take to act, i.e. earthquakes and uplift? Do you know the answer to that? I do not, I'm afraid. I'm not sure if I don't.
It can depend. What I will say, I don't know the specific numbers, but I do know that it can depend on how and where the event's taking place.
Yeah, so I don't.
Like on the. I was watching the Bin podcast earlier, and Mikey was asking about what if a meteorite smashed into Antarctica. Well, the effects on the rest of the planet would differ depending on where in Antarctica it hit. If it hit near the edge, then there's likely to be tsunamis. If it hit right in the middle, considering how big Antarctica is, the effects would be more mid to long term rather than short term.
Nature vacations are less expensive. Beach ones more expensive.
Yeah.
Well, that definitely helps in terms of picking holidays, because it's
true even here. It's true even here.
Yeah. Guys, we did have 2 more stories, but I think, given the time, because we've already gone like nearly an hour and 20 minutes, we'll leave the other 2, but I'll just mention, rather than read them, what we'll do is I'll just share the headlines, and we can just give our thoughts on it here. So this was one of the 2. I'm using the wrong link, aren't I?
Yeah.
Hold on. Wait 1 second. This one, Chrome one. Yeah, it's the Chrome one. Boom. There we go. Asking, what is a hosepipe ban as Britain risks a drought this summer? England is at a medium risk for drought according to the Environmental Agency. And you know what? People will dismiss this as saying, what a stupid thing. We're an island surrounded by water. How can we run out of water?
That's seawater, dumbasses.
Well, I know, but that's what the argument will be from people on the right.
Like, this is hosepipe. It's even in. I hate to bring it up because the author is a dickweed, but the Harry Potter books, even like in the beginning of a number of the books, this hosepipe ban is a thing. Like, we have had hosepipe bans in this country before. I think I remember a couple when I was a kid.
Yeah, for those who want to know, a hosepipe ban, officially called a temporary usage ban, is when you aren't allowed to use a hosepipe that is connected to your mains water supply. The rules ban you from using a hosepipe when it comes to watering your garden, cleaning your car, filling a paddling pool or pond, or cleaning your windows and gardens. Anyone who breaches the ban without permission from their water companies could be fined as much as £1,000.
Fucking grand. Are you kidding me?
£1,000. People can still use watering cans or a bucket for the same activities they would have previously used a hose pipe for. Here's a question: How do you manage this? Like, how do you law this? Like, is it based on how much water usage that they use? Like,
yeah, it'd be the output. Using a hose pipe, you do tend to use more water because it's constantly running. Whereas with using just a container, like it's not a constant running of water. So you technically, depending on how much you're using, I would say you're using less, but you're using less water that way. But like, as long as your container isn't leaking as well. But like, in the southwest, we don't usually, like, when the UK, when England does a hosepipe ban in the southwest, we don't usually we aren't usually affected by it. I remember a hosepipe ban when I was a kid, but it didn't actually affect us where we were. So
never use hoses. I wash my car with 2 buckets of water or something during the summer. It forbids. It's forbade around here. You don't need hose pipes. In my personal opinion, it's like there should only be extreme. Like, for me, it's like there should, especially like a garden like the one I've got here. Like, I definitely don't need it. You know, I think you could in theory, depending on the kind of home, what kind of garden they have on it, would also help could help reduce the needs for the use of it as well on there. Scotland at the moment is a low to mid risk, says Alison Keir. Thanks for that, appreciate it. The last ban let you tread animals, including fish, with a hose, says Richard Grumpy. Get there as well. 1976, 1986, 1995. I think that's when the hose pipe ban was UK wide.
So I would have been 2. Just under 2 when the nationwide one was last put on.
Yeah. So this last story here that we just won't have enough time to cover, unfortunately, is how the war in Ukraine has damaged the environment. Well, I think even without reading into this, I think we can pretty much gather why it's damaged the environment. Well, weapons and ammunition and the machinery that is used produces heat, which produces smoke and whatnot. That's bad for the environment anyway. But on top, and also there's possible chemical warfare potentially being used in the war as well, which is landmines as well. But of course, but there's also the other thing of as well is that as it says there, the environment in terms of buildings and destructions of lives, that can expose certain materials out of broken down buildings that could make things vulnerable, and also the wildlife in areas as well.
Biodiversity crisis in Ukraine is insane. Again, I think I've said this before on this channel, but Ukraine in around Chernobyl had the largest population of grey wolves in all of Europe, and they were healthy. And then this has happened. Fuck knows what has happened to the wolves since.
I would imagine that many of them would have tried to flee to Russia.
Didn't Russia try to attack through Chernobyl?
I'm not sure.
I think they tried to send soldiers through Chernobyl. They stopped because it was ridiculous, but I'm pretty sure they actually tried to send soldiers through Chernobyl. I mean, but Ukraine had loads of fucking badger activists here.
I mean, look at all these trees as well. How many of them are going to recover from this as well?
Ukraine had multiple different environments, and they've all been ruined. I mean, I wouldn't even want to know what the damage has been done to the marines, the marine environment along the coast, or the river going up the Dnipro.
Yeah, unfortunately,
it's disheartening.
Unfortunately, when a lot of people don't tend to think of war and climate as the same thing, but they actually does when you think about it in the long thing. And you also think about, like, for example, the war in Gaza, what's happening there. That is massive damage environmental. I mean, obviously from the humanity point of view, we've said this both on our channels enough times about the damage there, but in terms of the environment as well, it's really, really bad environmentally, pollution, disease as well.
I don't even know it. I don't even think there is any wildlife left in the Gaza Strip. There
are a few stray dogs and cats and whatnot.
Honey badgers honey badgers can be found all around that area. So you might find a honey badger like surviving in the rubble, but like, I mean, it's an arid place anyway, that part of the region. And what they've done is just made life harder, not just for humans, but for everything that lives in the area.
Yeah,
everything. Israel right now is not just an enemy of human life; it is an enemy of life in general.
Yes.
With what it's doing.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Guys, I just before I go, I want to apologize because I'm sure you guys may have noticed I am very, very tired. As you guys know, I did stay out late last night. I was up till 3 a.m. And that's why there was no good morning show. I already told you guys I was staying up for a wrestling show. I did not get enough sleep this morning. That's probably why I've been trying to keep straight. But I wanted it to. It was really important for me and for Pagan to do this show because I did contemplate. Before I did contemplate at one point today, maybe I should just not do the show. But I thought, but the reason why I still went ahead of it, guys, is because this is something we don't often talk about, and this is a really serious issue. And yes, of course, we're not on the level of some other YouTubers and experts when it comes to the environment, comes to to climate, to eco. But I feel like it's something that we do need to continue to talk about. And the reason why we did it this week, because we normally would have done it the following week, but the reason why we did it this week is because, as I said to you guys, I'm on holiday next week, so I didn't want to miss out on doing this at least once a month. I will, just for reference there, we're probably going to have our next Eco Flake show on the 19th of June next month. That'll be a Wednesday, but will probably be the next one there. So that'll be a good couple of weeks there, because this one was like, I think it was like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago since we did the last one. But I didn't feel that too long ago. And I will, and also I said to Pagan before we went live as well, I will be doing a Snowflake Roundtable, trying to organize one next month. When I'm going to do it, I don't know. But that is something I'm going to try and see if I can organize when I come back from my holiday, just for reference, guys. But I have one last live stream to do tomorrow, guys, just before I do the goodbyes and that. I will be doing one more good morning show tomorrow at 8 a.m. If you guys can join me for that, it'd be greatly appreciated. I'll let you guys know what the plan is for the channel while I'm away for quite an extended period. Thank you, One Angry Pagan, for coming along as well. Thank you for your insight. And guys, make sure that you guys are subscribed and do check out the content from One Angry Pagan's channel, youtube.com/One Angry Pagan. Really good stuff on there, and do check it out, guys. You know, it's really important that we try and support as many YouTubers out there and support the work they're doing, especially those who are speaking truth to power on a lot of issues, when there's other YouTubers and other content creators who are trying to cause harm, shall we say. Jal, that's fine. I was just no worries, buddy. I appreciate you always being here for the evening ones. We just won't see each other for a while after this one. So but I can't do a Friday evening live stream with things that I've got to get done. So I'm really sorry. So I do apologise for that. But yeah, thank you guys for all coming along. Thank you, Alistair Kidd, for the £5 super chat as well. Really appreciate that. And enjoy the rest of your evenings, whatever you guys have got planned. And myself and the One Angry Pagan will hope to catch you all very, very soon. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.